Hello, my fellow chiropractors out across the country. This is Dr. Joe Borio with this week's Thought Flash. And we did our health flash, if you will, or our Thought Flash with our patients that we send out. And what I did it on this week was on the flu shot. And some of you guys have this research, some of you don't. Some chiropractors would prefer not to talk about it. I think it's something that we should all talk about because I think it directly involves innate intelligence and how well your body works. But I'll just review with you a little information that I reviewed with them. There was a large study that actually was a review by a doctor by the name of Dr. Tom Jefferson, and it was actually published out of Canada, and it was done in February 17, 2010. And what he basically did was he reviewed all the literature. He's an epidemiologist. He reviewed all the literature out there on influenza and pneumonia and the flu shot, and whether or not there was an association between any benefit or drop in pneumonia or drop in mortality rate or incidence or what have you. And what they found was this, that in confirmed laboratory influenza, they found that the inoculation, the vaccine, the flu shot, was totally ineffective. So if I give it to mice or what have you in laboratory, controlled studies with humans, had absolutely no effect in preventing influenza, okay? Was the influenza decreased in the vaccinated population? Now, this is a population study. No. So when they studied hospital workers, when they studied healthcare professionals, they gave them the influenza shot versus those they didn't, had no effect in the drop or incidence of those people with influenza. Number two, was pneumonia decreased? Hey, there's an association between pneumonia and influenza. At least that's what we've been told. Guess what? A, there is no association between the two. B, there was no association between the incidence of pneumonia if you inoculated them with the flu shot. Well, of course there wouldn't be, because the flu shot was shown to be totally ineffective anyways. So the flu shot's ineffective, pneumonia isn't associated with influenza, and their studies, the research of any case studies showed there was no relationship whatsoever. Reduced deaths from pneumonia. So did less people die from pneumonia that got the flu shot versus those that didn't? Guess what the answer to that was? No, there was none. Okay? Now I'll go over some specific studies. This is done 2008. October 2008, Archives of Pediatric and Adolescent Medicine. What they showed was there was no effect. You ready for this? No effect in preventing flu or pneumonia in children. So they studied thousands of children that got the flu shot versus those that didn't, and they found there was no association between those that got the flu shot and those that didn't. Okay? That's kind of scary, right? Because they're giving them that shot. Why should that scare you? Because of all the toxins they have in the shot. They've got what? They've got aluminum, they've got mercury, they've got other types of chemicals in there that certainly aren't healthy for the human body, even though they're in small groups. 2008 Lancet study, influenza not associated with pneumonia. So now another study comes out and says, hey, listen, you know that whole kind of thought process out there that if you get influenza, you're more prone to get pneumonia, so you better get the shot? That's been shown to be totally not true as well. Influenza is not associated with pneumonia. Now, there was another study that was done in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2006, which showed exactly that same research. That there was no association between those people that got influenza and those people that got pneumonia. 2007, National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases. They showed that there was no mortality relationship with any of the vaccinations that they were utilizing. So now they inoculate all these people and they say, geez, you're a senior or you're a baby, you're a very young child, you have a higher relationship to death if you're to come down with this infection because of higher risk. So, oh my God, you better make sure you do the shot. And guess what they found? There was no association between mortality rate and those that got the shot. There was another study done. It was a 40-year study, 40-year study done by the CDC showed exactly the same thing. 2006, Cochrane Systemic Reviews, which is a Canadian group, showed there was no evidence between the flu shot and a placebo. So, you got the flu shot and the placebo, no difference between the effectiveness of either. And those are all medical researchers doing all this great work, showing that, look at, you know what? The flu shot doesn't have a massive effect on preventing the flu. So why are people getting it? Well, it's out of fear and ignorance, right? The assumption is that their body doesn't have the ability to fight off the influenza or pneumonia. So their viewpoint is like, oh my God, if I get it, I'm going to die. and therefore I need to get the shot because my body doesn't have its own ability to heal. That's why I always talk about education in the office. That's why I always focus on how important it is to educate your patients and to continually educate them on, I say innate intelligence. What I mean by that is educate them on the ability that their body has in order to fight off different forms of infection. Remind them that their body's fighting off cancer and viruses and bacteria and microbes all day long. Every day we're fighting off stuff. We don't all come down with sickness. And just like B.J. Palmer told us that, hey, if the germ theory was accurate, we'd all be dead at this point anyway because everyone would have died from some form of a microbe. And that isn't true either, is it? So the reality is we have to educate people, and the better word I like to use of educate is empower. You're actually empowering people when you educate them. By educating you, I'm empowering you. I'm giving you the ability to make better decisions. I'm giving you the ability to ask questions in your mind. I'm giving you a new door to open to say, hey, look, you know what, that doesn't make sense. That's not congruent with my common sense. I don't have fear anymore. I learned something now, and I've got some really good scientific research by Dr. Joe Borio's office, if they're a patient of mine, or Dr. Joe Johnson out there, if that's somebody that's listening. I've got some really good research here to show exactly why this is effective or this isn't, and it makes a lot more sense to me then as to why I shouldn't get a flu shot. But again, the bottom line is you want to educate people towards the end of their body's got an ability to heal. And that comes down to understanding that the brain coordinates all the functions of the body strongly and coordinates the action of the immune system. They're showing now those electron micrographs where the nerve endings actually come in contact with T cells and white blood cells, and it touches the cell and actually transfers information, transfers data in a way that they never thought possible, in a way that was never fully understood or even recognized or even appreciated. So now imagine how powerful your adjustment is in allowing their immune system to work better. That means autoimmune diseases. That means prevention of many types of illnesses and infections. That means rendering care to people that are really sick, to remove interference so that their body can fight off that infection much more rapidly with greater strength. That's what it should mean to you. It's interesting that the 1918 flu epidemic was instrumental really in allowing chiropractic to be licensed in the United States. So it helped us grant licensure in New York State. I know that for a fact because of the effectiveness of chiropractic care and the adjustments, especially in the upper cervical, in those people of preventing from getting the flu, or for those people that had the flu as a form of care to help them get through the flu. And there's a lot of nice research now in the Jang study, 2008 Journal of Neuroscience, talking about the upper cervical vertebrae, C1, C2, C3, and how much of an effect they have in the inhibition of the spinal sympathetics, and by adjusting those areas, how it enhances the body's immune system. And then you get the Duquesne study, which talked about blood pressure. It's all related really to sympathetics. So amazing research, great science, certainly should give you a lot of certainty, a lot of excitement out there. This is a lot of this research you can get right on the websites. And I think having, not only telling them you're against the flu shot, but don't make them think it's a belief. Let them know, hey, a scientifically educated decision that it's ineffective, it's toxic for you, and it's most likely going to harm you or your kids long term. So why would you want to put something like that in your body? Listen, this has been Dr. Joe Borio with this week's Thought Flash. I want to remind you guys that we've got a great seminar coming up here in 2 weeks, November 4th and 5th. Dr. Tom Culleton is going to be there. He's a neurologist, subluxation based. Real excited to have him there. It's going to be an honor to have him speak. Anyone that comes in from our Thought Flash, our normal fees $97. You come in at half price. Love to have you. Bring anyone else you can. Remember to get out there and educate and serve the people that are really so precious to all of us, and really get out there and make a difference. Move the needle of chiropractic. Make it the #1 health choice of every American, and that's really my goal, and I'm excited about it, and hopefully you'll join me in that mission. Guys, have a great week. Talk to you next week.
My best friend gave me the best advice. He said each day's a gift and not a given right.